But it seems as though the White House is standing in the way of the process to get to the facts. Look at the new bombshell from the New York Times, the newspaper reporting that when President Trump went behind closed doors in the Oval Office with Russian officials, he told them that firing FBI Director James Comey had relieved great pressure on him. Let me go over the words with you. Quote, "I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's taken off." What was your response when you read those comments?
Well, again, those responses are based on notes that I haven't seen, and neither have you. I'm not denying that I'm not admitting that they are. We don't know. And that's why we need to have an inquiry that looks at all of that. That's why I asked the White House to produce those notes to the Intelligence Committee so we could review it. And I thought that was important, and I continue to believe it's important for them to do. But again, I go back to the point that I made, and that is, irrespective of all those reports, Director Mueller is going to do his thing with regards to the work that he now has. The Intelligence Committee is going to continue to do its work. You will have now at least two separate places that I hope will reach conclusions based on facts that people can trust. And that's what I am investing my time and energy in. And so when I'm cautious about commenting on these things is because I do not want to undermine the credibility of this effort in one direction or another. It is in the best interest of this country for the Senate Intelligence Committee to produce a report based on facts that everyone has confidence in, and not some sort of open-ended thing that continues to, spiral this thing out of control.
Of course, the White House is not disputing those comments as reported in the New York Times. And I guess there are a lot of Americans who are looking at this growing body of information and wondering what exactly is going on here. We have the comments that he made to the Russian officials, according to that document. President Trump recently told NBC's Lester Holt that the Russia investigation was on his mind when he made the decision to fire Director Comey. Take a listen.
But regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse by the Democrats for having lost an election that they should have won.
So we have that. We have what he told the Russians, according to that document. A source close to Comey tells us that President Trump urged the FBI director to back off investigating Michael Flynn. This is in a Comey memo, saying, "I hope you can let this go." As an attorney, as a U.S. senator, do you consider this to be a growing body of evidence that the president might have attempted to obstruct justice?
We don't know yet. Number one, I haven't seen those notes. Number two, we have yet to take the testimony from Director Comey. You say someone who knows him says, well, we're going to have him in 2 weeks in front of the Intelligence Committee. He'll be asked that question. So in 2 weeks, we'll know a lot more based on the testimony that he gives under oath before the committee and the country publicly. Until then, we won't know. As far as the president's comment, that's always been the White House's position, that this whole thing is a farce. That's their position. Our job in the Intelligence Committee has been to look at this entire episode for the purposes of counterintelligence in particular, and then arrive at the facts, put them out in a report, and move on from there. And that's what we're endeavoring to do in a bipartisan way. And again, the best way to do that is not to litigate it in the press, but to do our work and put the report in a way that is credible so no one can deny its credibility and no one can say that we went into it already having made up our minds. This I can tell you for a fact. No matter what the facts are, I want them to go wherever they take us, irrespective of what outcome it reaches one way or the other. My interests here are clear, and I don't think anyone has ever doubted the concern that I have about Russian interference. Back in October, I was running for re-election, and it looked like my race was going to be very close. I may have been the only Republican in the country running for Congress who refused to discuss WikiLeaks, use it against my opponent, or use it against Secretary Clinton, because I said it was the work of a foreign intelligence agency. I said it then, I believe it now. I think our report will lay that out, and any other facts pertinent to that.
When you're looking for these facts, let me just ask you, if you come to the conclusion that President Trump fired James Comey because he wanted to relieve the pressure of the FBI investigation into his campaign team, would that disturb you? Would that be obstruction of justice?
Well, again, let me say it this way. If any president tries to impede an investigation, any president, no matter who it is, by interfering with the FBI, yes, that would be problematic. It would be, not just problematic, it would be, obviously a potential obstruction of justice that people have to make a decision on. Any president. That said, we don't know if that's what's happened here. And we can't make that decision, and I'm certainly going to not make pronouncements at that level of magnitude solely on the basis of what an anonymous source told the press. I am not disputing the press accounts, but I am also not going to accept them, especially being in the position that I'm in, where we're going to have access to Director Comey, hopefully to the notes, and to all sorts of other information that will give us true, complete insight into all of this. That's only fair to the president. That's only fair to the country. But we need to go through the steps to get there. Otherwise, this appears political and partisan, and there'll be ongoing doubts about whatever we find if we don't do it that way.